Okay, hello. Hello everyone, before we get into this review, I have a little bit of an exciting announcement. Next weekend, preliminarily, but at the moment, next weekend, next Sunday, throughout the day, I'm going to be doing a little mini charity live stream for the Trevor Project, an LGBTQ charity based in the US, and we're going to be streaming the Doctor Who adventure games. I haven't played them in years on this YouTube channel, probably 2018, 2017, right at the beginning of Jodie's era, so I'm going to be jumping on. I'm going to be playing them all back to back, so that should be fun. It's going to be live on my Twitch, twitch.tv/gbsheard. Link is in the description. You can go and check that out. Drop us a follow. We're almost at 400 followers, so yeah. And there should be more details in the next few days, hopefully, if everything goes to plan. But at the moment, we're aiming for next Sunday. And yeah, keep updated on Twitter, Instagram, and of course on YouTube as well. So yeah. And yeah, enjoy the video. Hello everybody and welcome to my review of the brand new Doctor Who Easter Special, Legend of the Sea Devils. So this episode is the first in a while. It's the second of 3 specials that we're getting this year to end Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall's era in Doctor Who. So this is going to be an interesting review. So I will say I'm in very good spirits after watching the Next Time trailer, which if you want to see my reaction is now on the channel. For the first time ever, I've never really done reactions to live Doctor Who stuff before, but I thought, it's Jodie's Regeneration episode, how many times do you get to have a first reaction to that Next Time trailer? So that's on there, and what a wonderful Next Time trailer. We'll talk about that and the centenary and all that sort of thing towards the end of this video. But first, let's talk about the episode itself, because I feel like, despite my high spirits with the Next Time trailer, my genuine thoughts on the episode, and not cutting any corners and not being, like, you know, I'm trying to be positive, but not trying to be kind of change my opinion and feelings on things. I really wasn't a fan of this episode, to be honest. And I'll go through it bit by bit, what I liked, what I didn't like, all that sort of thing, as I normally do. We're probably not going to use the same format because I don't really feel like it works. I don't feel like I've got enough to say about each individual character. So I'm just kind of going to go through and ramble off my thoughts on the episode. And yeah, so just bear in mind, it's probably not going to be a super positive review because I just really wasn't that keen on the episode. But there's still some good stuff in there, and we'll talk about the centenary and my thoughts on that sort of stuff towards the end as well. So I went into this episode kind of fine, but not super excited. Flux I really enjoyed up until the finale, and the finale kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Eve of the Daleks was good, but felt like kind of a more of a fillery kind of episode with kind of like low budget or based on a thing, but I still enjoyed it, and I still enjoyed a lot of the writing and the ideas in there, and the Thasmin stuff I thought was really good and well handled. So this, I was like, the last 2 episodes I haven't loved, but I've been alright, so I was kind of expecting that with this, and I was genuinely a bit disappointed with this. In a lot of different areas. I think initially what struck me was the visual effects I thought were a really weird mix. Not bad, not good. There were some shots where the CGI looked bad, and there were some shots where the CGI looked really good. Anything with the giant sea monster, that wasn't really the Merker, but we're just going to call the Merker anyway. Like, that was great, that looked really good. Any pirate ship stuff, like the floating ship, looked great. The beginning with the statue cracking did not. And the lightning effects on the swords, they didn't. And I have to admit it, you know, I really do miss the animatronics of the Jadoon mouth that we got in Series 12, where the mouth actually moves and feels like it's talking and emoting. You can really tell with this that they've got a still model, and they've kind of just bulged different areas of the Sea Devil's face to make it look like it's emoting. It's probably a bit more complex than that, and I'm not going to pretend to be like, you know, undermine the VFX artist's work, because it's in the industry, it's a very kind of overworked, underpaid for what they do kind of role. So massive respect to them for that. But it's not something I particularly thought was great here. You could tell where the focus was and what felt rushed. And what felt rushed was a lot of the sort of closer stuff. I thought the underwater sequences were great. I thought all that was really solid. But I was a bit disappointed on that front. Initially, I was a bit like, ooh, this does look a bit cheaper than it probably should in places. I thought the Sea Devils were interesting. I haven't really seen any of the classic stories, so I don't feel like I've got a ground to comment on their authenticity to the classic incarnations. But I thought they were interesting. They felt like somewhat similar to the Silurians, I guess. But again, just something I thought was just interesting is that Chris Chibnall wrote Cold Earth and Cold Earth, is it? Cold Blood and Hungry Earth, that's it. Which I don't really love, but I enjoy. I get a lot out of that. But there's a lot more depth, and there's a lot more character, and there's a lot more emotion gone into the Silurians there. The Sea Devils felt here quite shallow, and I feel like a villain that's been waiting so long to come back, it felt like they really wasted, bringing back a classic monster, because it just didn't really do much with them. This felt more Macra and Gridlock than it did, like, Alpha Centauri and Empress of Mars, for example, right? There's the two kind of minor versions and examples of characters coming back, or monsters coming back even. I think this is more on the disappointing side and kind of like underutilized side than like the more exciting and impactful side. It was cool to see the Sea Devils, but I feel like I've seen them in the lead up with the trailers and the next. We've seen the Sea Devil design since January. And they weren't kept mysterious. They've been at the front of the marketing, and I'm got a problem with that. Love them actually marketing the show, that's great, but I feel like there's nothing really else to show. I feel like the story was really kind of uninteresting for me, a little bit. Again, not slamming it as much as I can, because I feel like it's not a terrible piece of television, but genuinely, it's probably the first time in the Whittaker era that I've watched an episode and genuinely been like, I would consider turning this off. Which sounds really bad, but it's true. I thought the story was... This episode was a perfect example of kind of the worst of the Chibnall era, in my opinion, in terms of its jokes, in terms of its dialogue, in terms of its all that sort of thing. The one good thing that I really did like about it is what it did with the Yaz and 13 relationship. I thought that was interesting, and how the 13th Doctor addressed that, and how it was dealt with, I thought was right. And I feel like the reason they're doing it is to have some more emotional build-up to 13's regeneration, because otherwise it would just be a bit redundant, I guess, if there was like no stakes, I guess. But it still feels justified, it still feels right, and it still doesn't feel mishandled. Now, depending on how they do it in the Centenary is my concern, because it has that sort of fine line where it could come across as almost disrespectful, bringing in a character to come out as LGBT in the the third last episode, and that being more of a focus was a great idea. How they handle it in that finale and how it all wraps together is whether it feels right or respectful or any of the above, basically. I don't feel super passionate about it, but I know a lot of people do, and I want it to be right for those people who it does mean a lot to. And when it happened in Eve of the Daleks, it really meant a lot to people in the Doctor Who community. You'd want it to sort of work out where it feels right, and it doesn't feel like they just did it to build a bit of stake and then throw it aside. Because we do know that after this next episode, from the production side of things, Russell's taken over, Chibnall and that team, and most of the cast probably are gone. I don't know how much of a reboot it's going to be, no one does, but we kind of get the impression that the companions aren't coming back. So, yeah, it's that thing, isn't it? But I thought it was well handled in this episode, and I thought it held a lot of the more emotional moments. I was definitely satisfied with that, and that last scene felt very poignant and right for that Doctor and companion dynamic. You can tell this Doctor's a more like fun-loving and kind of emotional, or at least person-to-person emotional Doctor, and I quite like that character trait of hers where she does almost have feelings, but she knows she can't express that, and that's interesting, and a lot of people might not like that, but I like that interpretation of it, because you get that sense with David Tennant's Doctor as well. Like, he does like Rose in that way, obviously, but he can't express it. He was more cut off about it. This Doctor, because she's more of an emotional Doctor in that sense, from person to person in terms of the companion relationship, I think she is a lot more open, and she is going to be more to the point of, oh, I do want that to happen, but it genuinely can't, and whatever. And I think it works. I think it works in the context of the episode, and I think that was the crux of the episode. If that wasn't there, this episode would have really nothing that I was interested in, to be quite honest. I've just watched it, and I really can't remember half of what happened. I thought there was some good action sequences with the sword fights, but even then it felt very redundant. And I never really loved Curse of the Black Spot, but my god, was it a better Pirate Doctor Who episode than this was. Dan, what was Dan doing? again, like, he's only got a couple episodes left as well. Give him something to do. I like the stuff with Di at the end. I thought that was really good. I thought that was going to go into like a cliffhanger, like a bit like Harold Saxon in like series 3. I thought like there'd be someone sitting across the table from her or something like that, making her call Dan. And my version was on a bit of low res at the time, so I couldn't tell if she was crying. So I thought that'd be interesting, but obviously they didn't do that. It's nice though. It's nice. The supporting cast, I didn't really care for too much. I didn't think their performances were particularly great. I mean, they were like fine, like serviceable, I think is the right word. And again, I don't mean to diss, I don't mean to slam it. It's not me being slammed, it's me just being, you know, people have subscribed to the channel to get some thoughts on episodes, and a lot of Chibnall's era I have really liked in a lot of different areas and a lot of different ways. This one just didn't really work for me, and that's fine. Hopefully the Centenary will, and we'll talk about that now, because I don't really feel like I've got much else to say about the episode itself, because it's very, you know, I've summed it up. We've talked for 10 minutes about this. I think I have summed it up with that. I didn't really love it all that much. I can see why people would like it. There are elements that I liked, but I was a bit disappointed with the grand return of the Sea Devils being really kind of just fine and just sort of forgettable, and I think forgettable is that word. That's the unfortunate truth about this, for me at least. The Centenary trailer shows so much. I mean, we've got Daleks, Cybermen, the Master, Tegan and Ace and Vinda and Dan in a spacesuit and Jodie in a spacesuit as well, which is really great to see them in that orange spacesuit thing. So it's going to be like obviously a bigger episode. It's going to be like a feature length one presumably, and I'm excited for that because I feel like they're going to have a lot of time to develop those things. Ashad? Was that Ashad in the trailer as well? I don't know if I'm getting that right, but he's dead, so that's interesting. You know, there's a lot happening there and a lot of exciting stuff. Do I think it's going to work? Fingers crossed. I really want this last episode to absolutely just slam it and be amazing. I have to admit I'm a little bit worried, given the last 3 episodes now haven't really done it for me personally, which is fine. I know a lot of people do like it, but Legend of the Sea Devils is probably one of my least favourite, if not my least favourite episode of the Chibnall era, which sounds a bit extreme, but if you look back, I've pretty much enjoyed most of series 11 and 12, and Flux was fine bar the finale, but that was because of its grand story. As a singular episode, it's probably my least favourite, or the one that I would want to watch again the least, maybe. So, yeah, I'm worried about the Centenary a little bit, but I'm not too worried because it's got so many iconic characters and stuff. I just hope that they don't waste the characters. They've got Kate Stewart again, they've got 2 classic companions back. Very dangerous ground to sort of meddle with too much, but I think if it's done right, it can work really well. And the regeneration is going to be exciting. Regenerations are always exciting. I'm probably going to have like a party and bring people over and stuff, hopefully, so that's exciting, you know. But yeah, we'll talk about the Centenary videos in the future, I'm sure. I haven't really got too much more else to say here. I know I'm not very active on YouTube at the moment, so thank you all for watching this review, if you stuck around for this long. I know I've been a bit distant in terms of YouTube recently, so I'm going to be making more of an effort, hopefully, to jump back on that. Bit more Doctor Who content, bit more other content as well. I will also be putting a lot of time into my podcast, Spill Your Beans, which you can check out in the description below, which I'm currently working hard at to get the 3rd season up and running soon. And I also do some live streams on my Twitch, which I may have an exciting announcement about very, very soon. Doctor Who related as well, so you don't want to miss that. Yeah, so see you guys then. Thanks so much for watching this. I hope you have a lovely day. And yeah, let me know what you thought on the episode as well in the comments below. I'd love to see that. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm not sure if this will be a hot take or whatever. I haven't really looked at many other people's opinions on the episode. Maybe a lot of people agree with me. Maybe a lot of people don't. I don't know. But I'm interested. So yeah. But make sure you take it in good heart as well. Like, this isn't me slamming the show or the production team or anything like that. It's just me not really fancying an episode as much as others. So yeah, let me know what you thought, and cool. See you all later. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.